In a strange and unsettling twist that has captivated social media, a mysterious video has surfaced showing what appears to be a massive, human-like foot rising from the ocean near a beach resort in Thailand, just moments before a powerful 7.7 magnitude earthquake rocked Myanmar. The video, now widely circulated online, was reportedly captured just before the earthquake struck near the city of Mandalay, Myanmar's second-largest metropolis, with a population of over 1.2 million. Eyewitnesses who were staying at the beachfront hotel described the eerie scene with a mixture of confusion and awe. The footage shows a strange formation breaching the water's surface, undeniably large in size, casting long shadows as it disturbs the calm tide. As vacationers stood on their balconies enjoying the tropical afternoon, several began to point and murmur about a strange shape emerging from the sea. One guest, whose identity has not been disclosed, instinctively pulled out their phone and began recording. What the camera captured has now become the subject of widespread speculation, concern, and in some cases, deep spiritual reflection. Those who saw the anomaly firsthand were adamant in their description. The object, they said, resembled an enormous human foot, complete with toe-like shapes and a defined heel, pushing up through the waves as if someone or something of unfathomable scale had briefly stepped into the sea. Witnesses estimated that the visible part of the formation was dozens of feet long, far larger than anything that could be reasonably explained by marine debris or a rock formation. The sighting lasted only moments, and then the sea appeared to swallow the form once again, vanishing just as the tremors from the earthquake began to be felt. The video didn't attract widespread attention until after the earthquake hit. Once news of the disaster in Myanmar spread, the footage was re-examined, and many began to draw chilling connections between the two events. The timing, location, and bizarre nature of the footage caused a flurry of theories to emerge online. Some see it as nothing more than coincidence. Others, however, are not so sure. Many believe the two events are intrinsically linked, theorizing that the massive foot-like apparition was either a spiritual warning or an omen of the seismic event that followed. One interpretation that has gained momentum on social platforms is the biblical connection. Among the flood of comments and reposts, numerous users pointed out a passage from the Book of Revelation in the Bible, Revelation chapter 10, verse 2, which reads, "And he had in his hand a little book open, and he set his right foot upon the sea, and his left foot on the earth." For some, the verse has become a framework for understanding what they witnessed. These individuals claim that the appearance of the foot-like figure is symbolic, or even a divine gesture foretelling a significant event. They argue that the quake, which resulted in widespread structural damage and left thousands displaced, is evidence of a greater power at work, one not necessarily understood by science. Others have found themselves deeply disturbed by the footage. A number of viewers have expressed discomfort after watching the video, describing a sense of unease and dread that settles over them, even when they cannot explain why. There's something about the sheer scale of the object, coupled with the timing, that unnerves those who see it. Some say they can't shake the feeling that they are witnessing something unnatural, something not meant to be seen. Skeptics, of course, have pushed back on the more supernatural or prophetic interpretations. They argue that what appears to be a foot is likely a trick of the light, an oddly shaped wave formation, or perhaps even a piece of digital editing intended to go viral. Yet, despite these rational explanations, the unease remains. Those who were physically present when the incident occurred maintain that what they saw was real and that the feeling it gave them was unlike anything they'd experienced before. The earthquake itself was devastating, registering a magnitude of 7.7 and centered just outside Mandalay. The tremor caused widespread panic and sent shockwaves through the surrounding region, including into parts of Thailand, where the mysterious video was recorded. Emergency services in Myanmar responded to numerous calls related to collapsed structures, injuries, and power outages. In the days following the quake, questions about its cause were overshadowed by growing interest in the video, which many now regard as a potential harbinger of disaster. Adding to the mystery, several individuals staying at the beach resort reported experiencing strange physical sensations shortly after witnessing the anomaly. Headaches, nausea, and a sudden pressure in their ears were among the symptoms described, some of which they claimed began even before the quake struck. Whether these symptoms were purely psychosomatic or an actual response to an unrecognized environmental phenomenon is unclear. The video continues to circulate, gaining millions of views across platforms like YouTube and Reddit. Some users are compiling timestamps and comparing geological data to see if there is a scientific pattern or explanation for the event. Others are more focused on interpreting the symbolism or spiritual significance behind what they believe was a clear warning. Interestingly, this isn't the first time large-scale disasters have been preceded by inexplicable sightings. From reports of strange lights in the sky before earthquakes to sudden animal migrations before tsunamis, human history is filled with accounts of anomalies occurring prior to natural catastrophes. Whether these are coincidences, early warning signals from the natural world, or messages from something beyond our understanding remains hotly contested. In the case of the Myanmar earthquake and the Thailand beach sighting, the timing is undeniably eerie. That a mysterious, massive shape resembling a foot would emerge from the sea just minutes before one of the most powerful quakes in the region's recent history is not something easily dismissed. For many, the convergence of events raises the possibility that what occurred was not merely a random alignment of natural phenomena, but something much deeper. Whether viewed as a glitch of nature, a digital illusion, or a sign of something greater than ourselves, the strange foot in the sea continues to haunt the minds of those who saw it. On March 28, 2025, a powerful and devastating earthquake struck near the city of Mandalay in Myanmar. With a magnitude of 7.7, the quake became one of the most destructive seismic events in the region in recent decades. Mandalay, Burma's second-largest city and home to over 1.2 million people, bore the brunt of the tremor, which originated at a shallow depth of just 10 kilometers, or 6.2 miles. This shallow depth played a critical role in the earthquake's destructive power, as it allowed seismic energy to reach the surface with maximum intensity, resulting in widespread structural damage and chaos. The shaking was not limited to Myanmar. The effects of the quake rippled far beyond its epicenter, with tremors felt across the border in Thailand. In Bangkok, nearly 1,000 kilometers away, tall buildings swayed, and alarmed residents evacuated their homes and workplaces. The capital city's shallow subsurface geology is known to amplify the intensity of distant seismic waves, making Bangkok particularly vulnerable even to far-off quakes. One of the most tragic consequences occurred at a construction site in the city, which collapsed during the quake, trapping workers and leaving dozens unaccounted for. Emergency responders rushed to the scene, while authorities worked to account for the injured and missing. In total, up to 6,200 people were reported injured across the affected regions. Many others were displaced, and hundreds were reported missing in the aftermath. Both Myanmar and Thailand declared states of emergency, mobilizing national and local response teams to provide aid and assess damage. In Myanmar, hospitals in Mandalay quickly filled with casualties, while rescue teams dug through rubble in search of survivors. In Thailand, Prime Minister Paetongtarn Shinawatra convened an emergency cabinet meeting to assess the situation, and Bangkok Governor Chadchart Sittipunt ordered the immediate establishment of an earthquake response command center. Emergency plans were activated across all districts, and damage assessments were carried out at hospitals, government buildings, and schools. Police and civil defense teams were deployed to assist with evacuations and maintain order in areas where infrastructure had been compromised. According to geophysicist Susan Hof of the U.S. Geological Survey's Earthquake Hazards Program in Pasadena, California, the shallow nature of the quake's rupture was a key factor in its impact. In shallow earthquakes, the seismic waves reach the surface with full force, producing intense and often catastrophic ground movement. Hu also highlighted the phenomenon of liquefaction as another element that worsened the destruction. Liquefaction occurs when saturated soil loses its strength during intense shaking, causing it to behave like a liquid. This effect can undermine buildings and infrastructure, particularly in areas with loose, water-saturated sediments, conditions common in many parts of Mandalay and Bangkok. The 7.7 magnitude earthquake is part of a troubling seismic history in this region. Since 1900, at least 6 other earthquakes with magnitudes of 7 or greater have occurred within approximately 250 kilometers of the March 28th event. As rescue and relief efforts continued in the days that followed, the full scale of the damage became clearer. Entire neighborhoods were flattened, historic buildings in Mandalay suffered structural collapse, and communication lines were disrupted, making it difficult to account for everyone affected. Temporary shelters were set up to house those who had lost their homes, and international aid began to arrive to support overwhelmed local services. In Bangkok, engineers began conducting inspections of skyscrapers and public infrastructure to determine structural safety and prevent secondary disasters. The earthquake has renewed calls across Southeast Asia for improved preparedness and infrastructure resilience in the face of natural disasters. Urban centers, such as Mandalay and Bangkok, with growing populations and rapidly expanding construction, face increasing risk unless seismic-resistant building standards are enforced more rigorously. The disaster has also highlighted the need for public education and emergency response systems that can act swiftly during such high-impact events. For the people of Myanmar and Thailand, the March 28th earthquake is a trauma that will take years to recover from. The physical destruction, the loss of life, and the psychological impact of living through such a powerful seismic event have left deep scars. Yet, amid the tragedy, there have been stories of resilience, heroism, and solidarity, of neighbors helping each other out of collapsed homes, of emergency workers risking their lives in search and rescue operations, and of nations coming together to support recovery efforts.